sort of the same question, but in a little bit different way. My question is about the continuity of lives. What we were interested in our past lives.
Irrelevant.
Do we carry it through to the next one?
None of your business.
Okay.
We're being impertinent, but for a very good reason. If you think your vortices now are vague, can you imagine the struggle you'd have trying to dip into what you'd lived before and make sense of it as you've moved along in this physical life experience? Your inner being will guide you through emotional sensations to anything of that nature, that kind of continuity. If you try to use your head, you'll miss most of it.
Okay, makes sense. So I followed my emotions and passion into something new and completely different. And for the most part, I think it's the right thing to do.
We want to ask you a question. Can you hold your thought? Because where you're going is good. I followed my passions, and we want to ask if it could be a better framework. Your passions followed you. You are the creator of it. And you made that sound just a little bit like you were not part of where you were being called to. But when you feel that way, that's because you're focused upon the step 3 and your inner being's calling you. Don't forget about step 1. Don't forget about all that sifting and sorting and living and deciding and feeling and wanting and focusing that step 1 provided. And so when you get an impulse, you're not following your inner being's direction of what your inner being wants you to move toward. Your inner being is following what you've sifted and sorted and divined and defined from life experience. That's an important distinction.
So then there is something that I want very much, and I would like to have to be more solid in always knowing that it's all going to work out and it's the right thing for me.
Well, don't use that always word. That always word is a problem word because it asks the impossible. That would be like saying, always stand perfectly still, especially on a ship. In other words, if you're not in motion, you're wobbling all over the place. Just think in terms of trending mostly in the direction of what you want. And give yourself the liberty and the luxury and the advantage of sometimes trending in the wrong direction for a little bit, because never do you know more clearly what the right direction is than when you're trending for a while in the wrong direction. Boy, that's a wake-up call. Whoa, I didn't see that coming because I wasn't really paying attention, but I didn't see that coming, but now I'm paying attention.
So in that it's really big and it doesn't always feel great.
Can we clarify something else?
I did.
You're doing really good, but it's so good. Things that feel really big are...
Trying too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Next logical step's what you're reaching for. So
Okay.
things that are really big are in the process of feeling logical to me. Because as long as it feels really big, you're holding it out away from you.
That's right.
So it's big meaning it's great, and it's big meaning I want it, and it's big meaning it's thrilling, but it's not big, impossible big.
Exactly.
It's next logical step.
Right.
That's an important distinction.
Right.
Yeah.
And it won't always feel fantastic necessarily. It's all part of the process.
But it will trend fantastic.
It will trend fantastic.
Can you hear the difference?
Yes.
It will trend fantastic. When you want it and believe it,
It's there.
it's there.
So my question is, what can we do for our children that increases their belief in themselves? In sport, because a lot of children have desire, but they don't believe in themselves quite yet.
Well, sport is the greatest challenge to the satisfaction of this question that you're asking. Because in sport, there is so much physical comparison. There is one prize. So there's competition for that prize or competition for that spot on the team or that sort of thing. But in the universe at large, the pie is not this big. It grows exponentially. The desires make the pie bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So everyone has the ability to attract whatever they want. The statement that we make, good place to start here, is that if this time, space, reality has the wherewithal to evoke or inspire a desire, then this time, space, reality has the ingredients to fully satisfy it. In other words, you couldn't want it if it were not possible, because you gathered your desire from the components of all of this. And so you've created your vortexual desire from these ingredients, and these ingredients now are being gathered, and the manifestation must therefore be possible. That's too big of a statement to teach kids, but that's our way of saying, if you can want it, you can have it, you can get it, you can be it, you can do it. So you have to find a way to step back into their desire far enough that they can actually feel the win every time. In other words, the game isn't just about having the highest score. The game is about having lots of fun. Did you have it? Then you got it. The game is about the expansion of your experience. Are you becoming a faster runner? Are you becoming a better hitter? Is your hand-eye coordination becoming better? Then you're winning. Then you're getting it. We don't think it's ever a good idea to foster the idea that you want to be the best on the planet at anything, because that puts so much competitive competition, and every time it goes into the realm of struggle and perseverance and sacrifice. And so those trophies really are awarded to those who are willing to suffer the most in that process. When you think about it, that's what happens. The athletes that are at the top talk about the sacrifices that they've made. Their parents talk about the sacrifices that they've made. They all talk about the life that they gave up in order to do this and only this. Well, that's really not the coach that you are. You're the coach of bliss and the coach of well-being. And so everything really is. This is what you're here to teach. Everything really is about this space between the desire that I've created so far, that my inner being is completely up to speed with so far, and where I stand in relationship to it. And my competitive field, so to speak, is just between me and me. In other words, how much of what my inner being knows about me can I come into agreement with? That's the magic. I told my inner being, bit by bit, the pieces of life that were the most thrilling to me. And my inner being is holding that image and gathering cooperative components through focus to the things that I've identified. And now my work as the physical partner or physical co-creator is to find ways by feeling my way there. It's like the game. How old are the kids you are teaching?
Well, I'm specifically talking about my one son who's a surfer, and he wants to be the best surfer in the world.
Well, we would want him to be the most evolved surfer in the world, the most intuitive surfer in the world, the most blissful surfer in the world, the most aware of the conditions in the world, the most physically like the kind of physics that Einstein was about, the most physically intuitive, understanding the dynamics of waves and speed and timing in the world, the most blended with inner being surfer in the world. And the competitions will happen, but it's a whole different mindset. It's the surfer having the most fun on the way to all the winning, rather than the one on the way to winning no matter what. Because without blending with your inner being, there's no joy, or it's muted.
And I think he gets you. He listens to you all the time in the car with me. So I think he's on his way.
It's so fun to excel. You want to turn thoughts to things. That's what your physicality is about. You want to turn thoughts to things. And nothing is more exhilarating. That's why you're on this leading edge, than to have the physicalness inspire a desire and then intuitively feel your way there with your own biofeedback mechanism, and then make your adjustments as you come more and more and more into bliss, and then watch the world meet you around every corner. because that's where you get the sense of pride that you create your own reality, and the sense of invincibility that you can create any reality that can be inspired by this time and place. Yes? Enough?
Yes.
This is a really good time for a segment of refreshment.